Why do we laugh? Laugh. It's a characteristic that can be sensed almost immediately. A personality trait so tangible it seems physical. A social and psychological phenomenon that conveys a wide range of feelings. A profound manifestation of human connection and existential release. But most importantly, it's a momentarily transcendence of our individual selves. And this why, for me at least, Doflamingo's laugh is surprisingly important. It's an expression of Doflamingo's vulnerability and authenticity. It's fleeting yet powerful affirmation of his life's inherent absurdities. It's a truthful depiction of what he has become under the influence of the world of piracy. Laughter, as a nuanced element of characterization, helps to flesh out a character's persona, emotional depth, and interpersonal relationships, enriching the reader's understanding of who they are and how they evolve. It's a powerful tool in storytelling that can help reveal character traits and set the mood, but in the wrong context, it can destroy the whole mood because of its sheer absurdity. While it can be an effective dramatic tool, its overuse or reliance on clichés can lead to a reduction in its effectiveness and contribute to negative perceptions. The evil laugh in fiction has become a clichéd trope that is often used in a formulaic manner that feels predictable and unoriginal, diminishing its impact and making it seem like a lazy way to signify villainy. Relying on an exaggerated laugh to denote a character's malevolence can oversimplify their motivations and reduce them to a one-dimensional villainous caricature, rather than a complex antagonist with deeper motivations. More often than not, people would find the character often laughing to be annoying and unnecessary, but despite all of these, Doflamingo's laugh has perfectly managed to pull off this trope successfully. It succeeds in immersing the audiences rather than breaking their immersion. Why do we laugh? Basically, there are three reasons for laughing. We laugh at others when we encounter absurdities, and when we are faced with horrors that require the release of emotional energy. Laughter carries the emotional, psychological, and social implications. Something that looks so simple as laughter, which is often overlooked, can hold so much significance in the real world, and so in the fictional world, which is specifically true in the context of One Piece. The Great Pirate Era, or otherwise the Golden Age of Pirates, being a critical epoch within the One Piece realm. The Great Pirate Era changed world politics and broke the balance of powers. This political instability lies at the heart of the One Piece narrative, since it supplies the context wherein many of the major story arcs in the series occur. It's a world of facade versus reality, with the major theme revolving around freedom and rebellion. And Doflamingo is one of the most complex and intriguing antagonists of such series. A character known for his charm and charisma, which he uses to manipulate those around him. He presents himself as confident and affable, masking his true nature with a smile. His character explores the theme of appearance versus reality. Doflamingo's outwardly charming demeanor contrasts sharply with his inner cruelty and manipulative nature, highlighting the discrepancy between public image and true intent. And rather than a simple dialogue calling out his sadistic and ruthless personality, we get a crazy, distinguishably detailed laugh as he takes pleasure in the suffering of others and is willing to commit heinous acts to achieve his goals. It has been already established that his fall from a celestial dragon to a pirate king illustrates the dangers and moral decay associated with unchecked ambition and authority. And something as little as Doflamingo's laugh acts as a surprisingly impactful piece of his characterization. Laughter is effective in getting an emotional response from us, and when done correctly in the right context, it can give us insight into a character's true nature and deepest thoughts than any of the character action or dialogue ever could. The context in which laughter occurs heavily influences how it is perceived. Laughter in a lighthearted setting is often seen as positive, whereas laughter in a tense or serious situation may be perceived as awkward or out of place. The perceived intent behind laughter affects its interpretation. Laughter meant to convey joy or connection is viewed positively, while laughter intended to mock or belittle can be perceived negatively. Use of laughter as a character action or dialogue tag can reveal key aspects of their personality and convey tone, painting a fuller picture of who they are, their emotional state, and their social interactions. A character's laughter can be used as a means to advance the plot or highlight themes in storytelling. Like a moment of unexpected laughter can defuse tension, create irony, or underscore the absurdity of a situation, thus enriching the narrative. Laughter can be used strategically to make the dialogue looks more appealing, which would otherwise lack energy or bland. Evil laughter has been in existence in the world of fiction dates to at least 1860. Wicked laugh can be found even earlier, dating back to at least 1784. Most of the evil characters use a signature evil laugh as part of its presentation. Laughing in the face of other people's suffering is a good way to make a villain look evil. It indicates an edge of insanity, like the villain just can't hold back his joy at his triumph anymore. It's a little bit hysterical. It acts as a way to highlight their disregard for whatever evil act they are doing. Killing someone is bad enough. Killing them and laughing about it is even worse. But the overuse of laughter in dialogue, or even just a single particularly awkward instance, can feel oversold and urgent, like a bad actor in a good series. That's why laughter can be a double-edged sword that has both favorable and unfavorable consequences. Overuse of laughter as a character action or dialogue tag often indicates that the writer is insecure about the strength of the relationship they're creating between characters. Sticking it in places where the dialogue doesn't justify it, or adding it unnecessarily in places where the dialogue is already sufficient to convey tone can be the real problem that just creates unnecessary melodramatic trope that breaks their immersion out of the story. It can seem disconnected from a more grounded portrayal of psychological states and motivations. This disrupts the narrative flow, making it harder for audiences to engage with the story. There is a growing preference for originality and depth, making clichéd elements like the exaggerated evil laugh less appealing. But Doflamingo's laugh feels like a surprisingly impactful element of his characterization. His laughter is central to his psychological development, resonates with the audience, and holds significant thematic importance. The ability to seamlessly integrate the character's laughter into the narrative, making it both psychologically compelling and thematically significant, is something worth looking into and to be appreciated. Doflamingo is a complex and multifaceted character in one piece. His charisma, cruelty, ambitious nature, and of course his crazy maniacal laugh make him a memorable antagonist whose impact on the story and other characters is profound. His role in the Dressrosa arc and his subsequent actions contribute significantly to the overarching narrative and themes of the series. A good author can make use of anything to make a character into something believable using any means. The representation of the traits, motives, and psychology of a character in a narrative is what we call a characterization. Authors can develop characterization in any of the two ways: through direct description, in which the narrator, another character, or the character themselves explicitly describes their traits and qualities. Or it may also occur indirectly, in which the character's traits are revealed through their actions, thoughts, or what they say, rather than being directly described. It's worth noting that indirect characterization has an additional layer in any art form that involves actors, including film, theater, television, or any literary works. They make choices about how to say those words, how to move their own bodies, and in relation to other character. In other words, actors make choices about how to communicate all sorts of indirect details. As a result, different actors can portray the same characters in vastly different ways. Even a small bits of characterization like laughter has such a sheer importance in making a character the way we perceive, but to pull off something as ridiculous as this to be meaningful and believable tells volumes about what makes this character so special. Doflamingo's laughter often conveys a sense of madness and sadism. It's not just a laugh, but a manifestation of his twisted personality and his enjoyment of chaos. It's the reflection of his deeply disturbing nature. As one of most influential philosopher of all modern thinkers, Nietzsche suggested laughter to be a reaction to the sense of existential loneliness and mortality that only humans feel. Doflamingo always has been a character representing the darker aspects of ambition and control. Being born into the Don Quixote family, a once noble family that was part of the celestial dragons, the ruling class of the world meant he was born with immense privilege and power. However, His family's fall from grace significantly shaped his character. Transition from being part of the celestial dragons to living in poverty after his father renounced their status left him with a profound sense of betrayal and loss. As a coping mechanism for the deep-seated resentment he feels toward the world that he believes took everything from him, we get a laughter, a way of mocking the very society that rejected him and his family. It perfectly reflects the deep psychological scars left by his family's fall and his subsequent life of crime. It shows a manifestation of the madness and instability that stem from his traumatic experiences. As Doflamingo rose to power, his laughter became a tool for asserting his dominance and superiority. It served as a non-verbal way of reflecting his pleasure in toying with others, rooted in his desire to reclaim and surpass his lost status. There is always something to be said about the deep thoughts and sheer meaning put into it whenever he laughs. It works incredibly well, connecting with readers on an emotional level, adding more depth to the every word he says. It perfectly acts as an indicator of his emotional and psychological state, as well as his intentions. It creates an immediate connection and piques the curiosity, capturing intense or dramatic moments. It's a really difficult task to make something crazy like this to work without breaking the immersion of audiences. But somehow it worked. The author perfectly manages to identify the perfect moments to inject laughter in every circumstances, whether be it in a playful situation or a serious one. And everyone involved in this work has managed to excel at it. It's ironic that the overly dramatic villain archetypes like laughter becomes a crucial element that profoundly shapes his character. And this is why Doflamingo's laugh stands out from the rest.
Justice will prevail, you say? Well, but of course it will. Whoever wins the war becomes justice.